What happens when an immovable object meets an unstoppable force? Well, we're going to find out when Indiana's O-line faces Miami's D-line in the Natty. Don't get it twisted. That matchup will decide who wins this game. Indiana's been red hot, doing an outstanding job of pass pro, but they're a running team, racking up 400 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns in 2 playoff games. Now, on the other side of the ball, Miami's a well-rounded unit in both phases, allowing just 3 yards per carry while averaging a national best 4.3 sacks per game over their last 3. Now again, these units will dictate which way this one goes. So let's dive into the tape to see if we can tell who's got the advantage. Let's start with some of the tougher defenses Indiana faced this year. Ohio State only allowed 219 total yards per game this season. Even in a low-scoring game, Indiana managed to put up 340 total yards versus the Buckeyes. And believe me when I tell you, a lot of that had to do with the dudes up front. Now, if you watch the Big Ten championship game, was a bloodbath because Ohio State's front 7 brought that heat. But Indiana's best run of the night came from both smart technique and scheme. Here they're running what's called a pin and pull, pinning the down defender and pulling linemen up to the second level. Now, Ohio State doesn't help themselves because they only have 6 defenders in the box because on the snap of the ball, they're bringing some pressure here, and Caleb Downs is going to vacate away from the point of attack, probably trying to jump the RPO. When that happens, problems occur if you're the Buckeyes. But if you're Indiana, you love it because what you see here is creating a seam. You've got great blocks at the point of attack. You even got Bray Lynch here backside the right guard with nobody to block, and Kalen Black doing what he does best. The Hoosiers only averaged 3.5 yards per carry, but this 37-yarder jump-started that drive. Now, Alabama proved all season that they could hang with ranked opponents. And towards the end of the year, it was because their defense started to round into form. Now, the game before they played the Hoosiers, Bama was able to hold Oklahoma to 55 yards rushing. The next week, Indiana almost quadrupled that mark. 215 yards for IU in the Rose Bowl with plays like this. All right, this is beautiful right here. A stretch play to the right where the key blocks are the right guard, Bray Lynch, and the center, Pat Coogan. Now, Kalen Black, the back, his aiming point is the outside leg of the tight end on the snap of the ball. Then based on what the defense does and what he sees, he's going to bounce it, he's going to bend it, or he's going to bust it backside for the cutback. So let's get into it and start running the play. Now, on the snap of the ball, Lynch does a good job of taking an outside step. And what his eyes tell him right now is that defender's going outside. So he needs to come back inside because he knows that those 3 have those 3. And right now with this defender going outside, he's coming back inside working with Coogan, and that ends up being the key block. So boom, he comes off the defensive end and helps Coogan secure the tackle. But it's not just what he does, it's how he does it, because right there he keeps his shoulders square, keeping an eye on this linebacker who's athletic and is going to see that hole and try to fill it to make the tackle. Now the linebacker looks over, peeks, and then boom, he tries to set his gap. And Black now, because the right tackle, Caleb Benson, has color upfield, knows he's got to come backside. So again, here's Coogan on a big nose tackle, but he's straining and has pressure. Now this hole looks like it's going to close, but because Lynch and Coogan are on their feet and straining to block their defenders, Kalen Black is able to run through the arm tackle, the nose tackle, for a 25-yard house call. Beautiful. In Indiana's second matchup with Oregon, the Hoosiers face a team that held opposing offenses to just 32% third down conversion rate in 2025. Despite that, Indiana converted 11 of 14 for a 79% third down conversion rate. That may not sound like an O-line stat, but let me show you why it is. Oh, well, looky here. Got ourselves a gotta-have-it situation. Goal line, 3rd and short, red zone. This is big as it gets, and everybody knows what's coming. Now, Indiana runs what's called split flow zone. It's just a zone play to the left, but you bring your tight end backside to kick out the end. Now, you know what? You see this force player right here? You expect slant, and that's exactly what happens. On the snap of the ball, Oregon brings it, but Indiana's ready, and they keep their feet. Bray Lynch, the right guard, but especially Khalil Benson, the right tackle. What that does is it creates a hole right there to allow the back Kalen Black, to be able to be one-on-one with the safety. Now, Khalil Benson, man, I love this dude. He was in and out of the lineup all season long, but on this play, when it mattered, he was money. Miami leads the country in sacks with 47 this year. They've been outstanding. Now, Indiana's aced every test, but Miami's D-line ain't like those others. And they have a pair of edge rushers playing at a level that Indiana's yet to face. Akeem Mesidor and Ruben Bain. These dudes have combined for 19 of those 47 sacks. In Miami's first playoff game versus Texas A&M, Bain and Mesidor combined for 4.5 of Miami's 7 sacks. And Indiana's big guys have kept Mendoza clean against quality rushers all season. But this is their ultimate test. Texas A&M did a pretty good job of protecting the quarterback all season long, tied for first in the SEC with only 19 sacks allowed, a mobile quarterback, and an O-line friendly scheme. But all of that changed when Miami rolled out Akeem Mesidor and Ruben Bain off the outside edges in the first round of the playoffs. And we're going to take these one at a time because there's a lot going on here. Now, the right tackle, 76, does a good job of getting off the ball, setting with depth, and keeping his shoulders square. But the number one rule for an offensive lineman is to start the fight. If you know there's a damn fight, you better get your hands up and throw the first punch. Here he doesn't, and Mesidor takes advantage of it. His hands are into his body right here. He starts to reach and lean, and Mesidor is able to slap that hand away, particularly with Mesidor's left hand, and get and win on the edge, and this play is cooked. Marcel Reed starts to feel it, and this is where that play starts to break down. But that ain't the only little treat going on in this place. If you're Indiana, you better worry about what's going on here because Ruben Bain's going to come over the tackle, end up over the guard, and then win on the short corner because they're bringing Keontae Scott, a super senior out of San Diego, off that outside edge who's a pretty damn good pass rusher. So let's take a look at the left tackle here. He does a nice job of setting off the ball, but his hands are down too. Ruben Bain starts to work back to the tackle. The tackle sets inside. He turns his head, and he's late to react, even though there's a back out there, and he's out of position. Now, that's probably the first pressure that Marcel Reed feels. You see Ruben Bain, he's peeking. He's over the guard there inside, and he stays alive. His motors really come on in the second part of the season. So when Mesidor gets there and almost gets the sack, and then Keontae Scott's there and almost gets the sack, you have 3 unblocked defenders in the backfield, and Mesidor is going to get the job to jump on the pile for the freebie there. Now, I'm telling you, this could be the best front 7 in football and as good of a unit, including Ohio State, that the Hoosiers have seen defensively. And if they don't get their act together up front, it could be a long day for Indiana. Last year, over 22 million people watched the national championship game, and I'd guess that less than 5% of those even paid attention to what was going on in the trenches. So this year, I encourage you to move your eyes away from the skill guys every once in a while and watch them big uglies, because I'm telling you, it'll be the line of scrimmage where this one gets decided.